Alright, so today we're going to do our 4.2 notes, the first part of them, which is writing equations in point-slope form. So right here is our point-slope form. The y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. The two things I just highlighted here, the y1 and the x1, are going to be points from any ordered pair on a line. And then we also need to know our m, which is our slope. So in every problem we have to find any point. That means it doesn't have to be an intercept this time, a y-intercept. And then we have to know the slope. From there we can write the equation of a line. So let's go ahead and do some examples. First example here, let me zoom out. Says write an equation in point-slope form of a line that passes through the point -8, 3 and has a slope of 1/4. So what I'm going to do is write out the point-slope form to start with. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Let's go ahead and get that filled in. Now we want to substitute, this is the second step here, substitute the slope, the x, and the y. So my slope, which is my m, says is 1/4. So I'm going to write y equals, my slope is the 1/4. I have my x. Notice I'm not putting any minus signs in yet. Alright, so now I want to do the x and y. So notice how I do have these minus signs. So I'm going to put those in here. So I put those minus signs, that goes here, this one goes here. Now let's plug in x and y. So my x value is -8, which goes here. So I'm actually going to write -8. And then my y value, which is 3, is going to go right here. I'm going to highlight these so you can see it back in the video later. So that's going to be a +3. Now we're just going to clean this up. So I have y minus 3 equals 1/4 times 2 negatives make a plus, so it'll be x plus 8. Now this is the answer if we say we need it in point-slope form. Some of your questions today on Big Ideas will have you fill in the y1, the x1, and the m. Some some problems today are going to have you write it in y equals. So we're going to take a little side step here. Step 4 says simplify and solve for y if necessary, so depending on the problem. So I'm going to zoom in here so I have some extra room, and I'm going to write down this question. In this equation we have y minus 3 equals 1/4 x plus 8, and if we need to solve for y, I'm going to show you how to do that. First thing we do is we do our distributive property. So I'm going to have y minus 3 equals 1/4 x. Distribute this again, and I'm going to get a +2. 1/4 times 8 is a +2. Last thing I need to do is add the 3 to both sides. And when I do that, I'm going to get y equals, now notice y is by itself. I'm going to keep the 1/4 x, and then 2 plus 3 is 5. So I'm going to leave this up here for a second so you can zoom out so you can see the work that I did. Finish copying those notes, and then I'm going to see if you have any questions here in class. If you're just watching this on your own, then you can keep going. Okay, now that we are able to move on, there are 2 on your owns. So I would like for you to do those 2 on your owns right now. If you're doing this on your own, pause the video, and then when you're done, I will walk you through them. All right, now that you are done with those on your own, here's what you should have filled out. y minus negative 1 equals negative 2 times x minus 3. And notice our goal here is to put it in point slope form, so we're not solving for y. So 2 negatives makes a plus here, so I can just make this a plus. There's nothing else I can do, so that's actually my answer right there. Y plus 1 equals negative 2 times x minus 3. For the next one, you should have had y minus 0 equals negative 2/3 times x minus 6. We don't like the 0 just hanging out there, so we're just going to keep it as y equals negative 2/3 times x minus 6. And that will work. If on Big Ideas they give you the placeholders to put your y and your m and your x, then go ahead and plug in the 0 and keep it there. Let's go to the next example. Now we're going to do it from a graph. So the first thing we need to do is figure out our point slope form template, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So go ahead and write that down again. And we need to find an ordered pair and a slope. Well, from a graph, I have some ordered pairs, and then I can find slope. So first, let's find slope. So over here, I'm going to write m equals, and let's count our slope here. I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, which is negative 4. Let's write down negative 4, divided by over 1, 2. So negative 4 divided by positive 2 is negative 2. So that's my m, and I'm going to put a little bubble around this so I can use it later. And now I need a point. Now, the thing about point slope form is you can use any point on that line. So I have two options over here. I have the 1, 2, and I have the 3, negative 2. And you get to pick which one you want to use. I personally try to use ones with smaller numbers and ones that have fewer negative signs, so I don't have to worry about those double negatives too much. So for my personal preference, I'm going to pick this point right here. So I'm going to pick the point 1, 2. So now I have a slope and I have an ordered pair. Let's go ahead and plug them in to our point slope form. So I'm going to have y minus 1 equals negative 2 times, oh, I actually did that wrong. Hold on, let's go back. It's not y minus 1. My y value is 2. It's a y minus 2. So go ahead and change that really quick. Sorry. Y minus 2 equals negative 2 times x minus 1. Now normally I would be done, but the question here asks us to put it in slope-intercept form. So let's go ahead and solve for y. So let's do our distributive property, which is going to be y minus 2 equals negative 2x plus 2. Add 2 to both sides of the equation. And then you get y equals negative 2x plus 4. So take a second to finish copying that down. Okay, now that you have that finished, let me just go down a little bit. We're skipping that one. Skipping those. All right, there's no on your own like that. So that is the end of our notes today. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and reach out for help, and we will do our best to help you out.